time. It's our time, my friends. Time for millions of maturepreneurs, 55 plus, who are hashtag not done by a long shot, to revolutionize how we lead, do business, and innovate our world. I'm your host, Jeanette Anderson, and welcome to my conversations with fascinating people who would rather inspire than retire. Good day, everybody, and welcome to the Maturepreneur podcast. I'm your hostess, Jeanette Anderson, and today I am with the lovely and talented Sharon Hess, joining us from Arizona. Good morning or good evening or whatever, wherever you all are. Good morning, Sharon.
Good morning. It is morning for me at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. And how are you doing on this lovely day?
Oh, I'm in Arizona, so I'm doing fabulous.
Okay, now you're just bragging. Now you're just saying that because I said I'm going to freeze my ass off when I go take the dog for a walk.
We always have lots of sunshine, but here's what I tell people. Okay, we have these gorgeous, gorgeous winters, but we put up with brutal summers. That's so true. We have a gorgeous winter.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and everybody has something that they can complain about wherever they are. If it's not tornadoes, it's wildfires, or it's, blistering heat, or it's freezing cold, whatever. That's why I'm a mobile maturepreneur, because then I can go where it's nice all the time, in theory. This winter I'm here. But anyway, enough about that. So let me tell y'all today what we're going to be talking about, everybody. We're talking about the quiet advantage, how entrepreneurs lead better by doing less. So we're going to be talking about how to get out of that hustle culture, how to stop living in that pressure that undermines your leadership and actually be far more effective. So I'm going to tell you about Sharon. Of course, we'll give you the official bio for those of you that want to know the facts and stats. And then I'm going to ask her to tell us something about her that will just blow our minds. And then we're going to get into the topic of how to be a quiet and effective leader. All right. So Sharon Hess works with experienced entrepreneurs who are outwardly successful, but inwardly tired of leading through pressure. After years of building businesses the traditional way, she now explores a quieter path to growth, one rooted in clarity, steadiness, and trust. Sharon helps leaders recognize when effort is no longer the answer and guides them towards decisions that feel both profitable and peaceful. That's a nice combination. Profitable and peaceful. I like it. Okay, so hi, welcome, Sharon. So tell me a little bit about you that people would not guess that they would be surprised about. Maybe even your friends don't know.
Maybe even my friends don't. Well, I'm pretty much an open book, though.
Yeah, I know.
Say, most of my friends pretty much know everything. I'm comfortable within myself. That comes with age.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
a great thing, because then you're not as judgmental of yourself and others.
Exactly.
But probably one of the things, like if you saw me, you wouldn't know, would be I paint angels.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay, and do you have one there?
Yes, I do.
I paint beautiful. Angels. Lovely.
But what I do is because I have a strong spiritual background, and I'm a Reiki master, which is energy. I hate to say this, but it's like, to me, it's not fine art. Mm-hmm. My brother has a degree in fine art, so I kind of judge myself from that. But it's about the energy of it, like how you feel when you look at it. Mm-hmm. And also the weird thing is it has little hidden images within that if you take a picture and you look at it, there's other things you can see, just like in life, everything's not obvious.
Exactly.
Right?
I like that.
So,
I like that. That's a very cool way to express your philosophy in life as well. And so
it's fun. It's very calming, very relaxing, very meditative.
Lovely. And do you sell them, give them away, just surround yourself with them? Both? Okay.
I do both.
All right. Awesome. So let's jump into this topic about how we can lead better by doing less. I am looking forward to this conversation because I, like many entrepreneurs, have a to-do list that is literally 4 spreadsheet pages long. And so what started you down this path? You've been an entrepreneur for a long time. So tell us a little bit about your journey and what started you down this path of doing things differently.
Excuse me. So what started me down, it's funny because I was thinking about it this morning. I've actually been an entrepreneur for a very long time without even recognizing. It's kind of like a mindset that you have. Not everybody wants to be their own boss, and not everybody wants to be, quote unquote, responsible for themselves and everything that they do. So when I was pregnant for my son, I sold Avon because I thought, oh, okay, this is great. It gets me out walking. And that was back in the day when people did open their doors. So, and then after my son was born, I skipped. So, and I was a Mary Kay lady.
Okay.
We sold Mary Kay Cosmetics. And then after my son was born, I sold Discovery Toys, which is, you did home shows. And that was great because I got to play with toys.
Exactly.
So anyway, so then I actually did, and I had a gift basket business, and that was before the internet. I've done just so many different things, but in even traditional business, when I worked, I ended up morphing into sales. And when you're in sales, you are a bit of an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah.
Because your salary, the money that you make, that you have a set salary, but if you really want to make money, it depends on commission.
Right.
So you have to be the one that's, responsible enough to do what it is you need to do to make those sales and develop relationships. I was very successful in sales because I realized it's about developing relationships with your clients, actually listening to them, understanding what they need, providing what they need. And if something goes wrong, because things do go wrong, making it right.
Right.
So, and I also think sales is a bit, you have a personality for sales, just like I think you have to have a personality to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And they kind of go hand in hand, because if you're in business, you're in sales.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And people think it's a dirty word, and it's not.
It's not.
It really isn't.
Being of service. Because
people can't find you. I'm sorry, I'm going to take a sip of coffee. Maybe that'll help there. Yeah, people have to be able to find you, but they have to understand exactly what it is that you can help them with.
Yeah.
And if I can tell anybody anything about sales, this is a very big tip, is that an objection is just a question that hasn't been answered.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a request for more information. Like,
exactly,
which means that they're interested, they just don't quite understand the value yet. And so they're trying to understand the value, and either they will come to a clear yes or a clear no. But as long as you're getting objections, it just means they're not clear yet.
Right.
And, a clear no is fine as long as it's clear and they're, making a good decision. Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about, because I want to talk about sales because I think it is such a valuable skill. How has being a salesperson supported you in the other businesses that you've done? And how did you, let me ask one question at a time. How has it supported you in your other businesses now? So tell us what you're doing now and how is sales supporting you now?
So now, because I'm all about wanting to teach people how to create from calm, right? You don't have to create from that hustle, grind harder mentality. Don't get me wrong, it'll work, but it's not sustainable. And it's not sustainable because we as human beings are not meant to perform 24/7, right?
Yeah.
And I know people talk a lot about work-life balance, but it's even just within your work, you don't have to be doing that. You don't.
Absolutely. And if you try and do that, then you burn out. It's like you said, not sustainable. No,
the harder, and here's something else, I learned this years ago. Anything you chase runs from you. So, right?
That's a great line. I love that. I actually haven't heard that before, but that is a brilliant line. That's how
well, because I do money healing. I realize if you're just chasing the money, it's going to keep running from you, because you really need to just settle and relax and allow things to unfold. Yeah. And things will work when you do that. If you find yourself just frazzled, never create from frustration. You'll create something, but it's not going to be anything good. Yeah, exactly. And it won't actually land out there. Even if it ends up being good, people won't pick it up like they would if it comes from a different energy. That was, by the way, a rare writer downer. So just give me a second. I'm writing it down so I can attribute the quote to you later. Anything you chase will run from you. I love that. And that goes for our love lives. That goes for our businesses. That goes for anything. For even our health. If we're coming to that place of scarcity and desperation, even that it doesn't support us in any area. So right. Really, okay. So how did you learn to sell originally? Because you didn't come out of the womb knowing how to sell. So how did you learn to sell originally? Oh my goodness, that's a good question. Let me think about that for a minute. And why wasn't it a dirty word for you back then? Because people think, excuse me, that when you say sales, people think of like used car salesmen, like they're trying to manipulate you. They're trying to convince you to buy something that you don't want. And what happens when we're selling is that if we've ever made a bad decision, then we think, oh, that person talked me into it. We don't like taking responsibility for our own crap. It just, so I don't know how else to say it, human nature. Yeah. So the first sales training I had was actually Mary Kay, if I think back on it. And Mary Kay was very interesting because it was all about female empowerment and teaching women how to actually have their own business. I never forget, they taught me, I went to the bank. I got a small loan, business loan, and they taught you how to do all of that. And then they had weekly sales meetings, and it was just always about basically, like I said, giving more information to people and helping them understand how what you were offering would help them. Yeah. Well, and let's talk for a moment about this word relationship. I know this is not your topic, but so we'll come back to that shortly. But it's all connected. Sales is so important and not something that a lot of people talk about. And many people, especially if they've come up through the employee ranks, have never had to sell, quote unquote, sell themselves. They sell their ideas. They sell their kids on picking up their socks. They sell their partners on having sex with them. We're selling all the time. Really, all selling is enrolling people in an idea, is getting them to be enrolled in whatever it is that you want to have happen that is of service and benefit to them as well. But there's so much stuff about it, especially for women. We tend to be given all sorts of other additional messages to carry around with us. So you mentioned the word relationships, and I have a kind of a love-hate relationship with that word, relationship selling, because to me, a relationship is where I'm going to call them up and go to a movie on Friday, or I go to their birthday party or something like that. I don't consider myself having a relationship with prospects as much as I am a service provider, and I have a connection with them and I provide value, but they're not going to call me in most cases, to go to their wedding or whatever might be the case. So tell me how you think of relationships. What do you mean by that? Because here's the danger. For me, a relationship is actually how you relate to the other person. Okay. And I always say that, so to me too. So how do I bring this in? So my first spiritual studies was A Course in Miracles. Okay. Yeah. And so it teaches us that we're all one, we're all connected, and it talks a lot about your relationship with yourself and with your divine self, right? Yeah. So for me, a relationship is, I'm trying to think of the easiest way to say this to make it palatable. And I don't want to go out way in woo land,
That's okay. You go in woo land if you want.
Okay, but anyway, so our relationship is within ourselves, but it's also any person, any individual that we're connecting with. It's how are we relating to them, right? Mm-hmm. So relation sales, and this is interesting because for you said relationship is that, well, we're not going to, like go to the movies together, whatever. But your relationship with your prospect, your clients, anyone that you're dealing with, it's important that you are, oh gosh, I just got the words, playing to your audience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So, so your relationship with anyone is your inner self. Mm-hmm. Where are you coming from and how much are you relating to them and where they are coming from?
Yeah.
It's not like, going out on a date. Yeah. I mean, it kind of sort of is, but not really.
Yeah. Right? So really you're more talking about relatedness and being related with them, and how you're relating to yourself, how you're relating to the concept of sales, and how you're relating to them as they are, not just as a generic audience, but really that human being, person to person.
Exactly. Because I'll never forget this. One person told me, and so when I started training salespeople, I would tell them this. Mm-hmm. I would say, when you pick up that phone, you're saying the same thing and you're presenting the same thing. I was in phone sales for many years. But you've got to remember the person that you're talking to, this is their first connection with you. Yeah. So when you hang up the phone, let that go. Mm-hmm. And then the next call, the next person, relate to them where they are.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I like the framing of relatedness. The reason I find relationship an issue is because, especially for a lot of women, they think the relationship means giving value, and then they're in a relationship. So I can't possibly ask them to buy because now they're my friend. Right. And so it doesn't get productive. They don't actually ask for a sale because, it's a relationship. I don't want to push them.
That's a good point. Because you said, especially women, it's that, well, you're my friend. However, you have to think about it this way. Would a friend want you to sacrifice for them?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you give without receiving,
yes,
you're sacrificing for them. And the energy of sacrifice does no one any good.
That's right. And reciprocity is a really good thing to enroll people in, because otherwise you're depriving them of the opportunity to give. And that's selfish, right? If we're the only giver.
You know what? Early on, when I first started doing healing sessions, because, when you do healing stuff, it's kind of like you're a very giving, empathic, loving, giving person. Yep. And I see this a lot in spiritual businesses. Like you're saying, it's like, oh, well, I can't charge for that,
Yeah.
But I got a very specific, clear message from Spirit. If you don't charge them, the healing doesn't happen because there's no energy exchange.
Yes, exactly. Well, and I often tell my clients that you're being super selfish. And you're putting them in the position of a victim because you're giving, and you're not allowing them to give back. So now they're a taker.
No, I'm laughing because I thought of something. I'll never forget this. I went to a meditation thing one time, and the teacher, it was a crystal bowl. That's why my hand went like that. I was visualizing it,
playing the bowls.
And at the end of the meditation, she said, "Okay, so what did y'all get from it? Blah blah blah." And little Miss Naive Sharon says, "Oh, I had a moment of really receiving, and I'm so good at giving, but I'm not good at receiving." And she looked at me and said, "How can you give it if you didn't receive it in the first place?"
Yeah. Yep. That too.
And I went, drop the mic, bam, boy, did that hit home. And so then I thought about that, and I thought, if I'm saying that I'm not receiving, then that's really not good of me.
Yeah.
Because she's right. I had to, and the old thing, you can't give from an empty cup, and if you keep depleting yourself and whatever. But yeah, that was really a defining moment for me that I always remember.
Yeah, I love it. That's another one I'm writing down, by the way. You can't give it if you didn't receive it in the first place.
I really you give it exactly. Exactly. I mean, I got to tell you, we as human beings can be so silly, and I love human nature.
Yeah, I know. Me too. I think we're so cute. You know, I think it was I think it was the movie Contact with Jodie Foster. I think that I had a fabulous line about human beings and essentially how cute we are in our humanity. Can't remember the line right now. I'll have to go find it. Anyway, I tell my clients, stop making them takers. It's rude. When you don't let them pay or give back or reciprocate in some way, you're making them a taker, and that's really a mean thing to do.
Yeah, so here's another little story that popped in my head. I'm full of stories. You know, when you get to be my age, you know, I know exactly. I've got lots of stories. But I had a friend whose son was dying of leukemia. And we did a fundraiser, and I had gone around and like restaurants, you did things for a drawing, you know, a raffle. Yeah. And the young man, he was just the sweetest little thing, God rest his soul. And I remember he came up to me and he goes, oh my God, he says, I'm so surprised that people would do all of this for me. And he says, I feel kind of bad. And I looked at him, I said, well, let me ask you something. I said, do you feel good when you do something for someone else? Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, absolutely. I said, then thank you for giving me that feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, exactly. It's like, so it is very much. And here's the thing too. Reciprocity. Mm-hmm. It's not going to always come back from the place that you think it should.
Right. Yep. We give this way and it comes in this way, you know, and that's some of the fun of it. Right. And
well, people talk about karma and they go, well, I didn't see him get his karma. I said, well, how do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Seriously, how do you know? You don't know everything that goes on in their life. You don't know how it came back at them. So
exactly. Or when, or to bless someone else that he loves or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
They're funny. Part of the reason why I'm talking about sales a lot is because as people, if they want to be successful entrepreneurs, they have to learn how to sell and market themselves. And a lot of people really struggle with self-promotion because of a lot of limiting beliefs we were just talking about. And especially if they come out of an employee mindset where that hasn't been something they've had to do, it is a skill they have to acquire. And secondarily, it's a skill. First, it's a mindset. And it's that mindset of service and being able to support people in solving problems that they have to get first. Then they have to learn some of the tactical skills of selling, like you said, how to relate to people, how to know how to present stuff in a way that they can understand the benefits, etc. So that you can actually have a viable business. Otherwise, you have a very expensive hobby. And I know a lot of people who have very expensive hobbies.
A lot of hobby owners out there.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't want that for people who are listening to this. We want you to be profitable. Profitable and peaceful. So on that note, let's switch over to your topic for a minute and tell us a little bit about how did you come to this work that you're doing now, and what is the work you're doing now?
So here's the thing. It's like I've ran across a lot of people. They're capable. Mm-hmm. They're smart. Okay, and they create some success, but they feel that they have to work harder to be successful. And what I found is it's just the opposite. And people is kind of like, wait a minute, that's not what I understand.
Yeah,
but when you're putting in all this effort, you're leaving a part of you behind. And until you learn how to align with yourself and come from a very calm, clear space, it's not going to be sustainable. Now, what happened is a lot of the stuff that used to work will stop working. And there's a reason for that. And the reason for that is to get you to stop, reassess, step back, reassess, and think, what are the things I'm doing? This is a big one. What are the things I'm doing just out of habit? You know, it's the old Einstein saying, you know, insanity is doing the same thing and expecting different results. Well, we do that without realizing it because we're so busy. We're so doing. We're we're doing, not being human beings. So we don't really understand. We don't have the time to look at, why are we doing this? Are we doing it because we think we should? Because somebody told us that we should? You know, it's like with marketing, there's a lot of fear-based marketing out there. And I understand that works, but it's not going to be sustainable and last. Because if you get a client that's totally comes to you because you made them fear, and I did this early on in my business. I bought all kinds of shit I didn't need. You know, I'm just being honest, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So because it was like, oh, I need that. Oh, they know something I don't know. And there's the caveat. Nobody knows something other than processes and procedures maybe that you don't know. But to say that there's something that you have to know and understand in order to be successful, it's inside of you. And if you don't learn how to be quiet and find that space in that place, then you're going to always be chasing your tail. It's like one of my early on teachers told me, don't let the tail wag the dog.
Yeah.
And we all do that.
Exactly. Okay, there was about 3 or 4 things in there that I want to follow up on, but let's start with your statement. When you're putting all this effort, you're leaving a piece of you behind. So tell me a little bit more about what you mean about that.
Success should not require self-abandonment. And we will abandon ourselves and our beliefs, our core values, what makes us happy and peaceful in this life, because we think that there's something else we should be doing rather than just being ourselves.
Okay, that was another writer downer. Success should not require self-abandonment. I'm going to have so many quotes, and I literally am forming articles in my head as we talk about these themes. So, and what I want to really acknowledge here, Sharon, is this is the value of wisdom. This is wisdom in action. It's not just sound bites. It's not just learned knowledge. It's not book learning. It's actually what you start to understand as a human being based on our experiences, filtered through what we know and what we've learned, and integrated with emotional intelligence as well, and spiritual intelligence, is when we can then bring this kind of value forward. And so if you're listening to this and you think, I don't know what I can offer, native wisdom, native intelligence, your experience is valuable, because you can do things and say things like that have people just go, oh, and go off on a whole other successful trajectory. So I want you to be meta learning on this and watch how Sharon is doing what she's doing, as well as what she's doing and saying. And the fact that I can also see, and those of you who are watching the video, and perhaps just from her voice, you can tell that Sharon is very comfortable in the value that she provides, because she knows that I
know myself. I quit hustling, you know, although I did that in the past. You know, I helped create $1 million businesses, and I understood processes and procedures, and I did Gantt charts, and, you know, I've done all of that. But that's not what brought me peace, love, joy, and happiness. And that's what I think we all came here to experience. Peace, love, joy, happiness, and abundance. Abundance is in there. And if you can fully understand any one of those things and incorporate it within yourself, all the other ones fall in line. Think about that. If you can fully understand peace and you come from that peaceful space, the universe lines up to help you in everything. And you will automatically find joy, love, happiness, and abundance. So, but I want to go back to say something about aging. Okay. For the people who are older and thinking, oh, what do I have to offer? Aging used to mean shrinking. Okay. I remember my grandmother at the age of 70 saying to me, you know, Sharon, we live longer now, but they don't know what to do with us. And she used to go to the senior home and make Christmas ornaments and, you know, that kind of thing. But now, because we have the internet, right? Mm-hmm. We have all these wonderful tools. We have all of these ways for people to relate to us. You know, if you're watching this, you know, this wasn't around back then. You couldn't have done this. You could have gone and done workshops, but pretty much not anything like this. So every one of us has learned something along our journey that we can gracefully share with others that will help them. You know, so I've always been about, I want people to love themselves. And I want people to have understanding of themselves. Because if we can understand why we do certain things, then if it's not serving us, we can let it go.
Yes. Yeah.
And we hold on to too much baggage.
Yes.
And well, I didn't learn that until I stepped into my wisdom years.
Exactly. Well, and you know what? Getting older doesn't guarantee wisdom. I know a lot of wise young people and a lot of stupid old people, but it doesn't necessarily guarantee it. But when you do the work, that inner work, and you bring in your emotional intelligence and you value, which I want to come back to, those experiences and understand how they can benefit other people, then it does turn into wisdom, into this thing that can be very beneficial for people. But before we go there, because you mentioned it, the word why, and I always perk up on the word why, tell me what your why is. What is your purpose in life? Because you kind of mentioned, I want people to, you know, love themselves. But tell me more about your purpose.
My bottom line purpose has always been to help people love and understand themselves. But my underlying why, you know, when I was younger, it was always about achievement. So it has evolved, right? And then later it became impact. You know, I want to be impactful. I want people to, you know, see me, hear me, you know, learn from me. And then now it's just really all about peace and coming from peace and understanding that you don't have to, and I'll say it again, you don't have to live in hustle, right? You learn how to operate and create, because when you create from a peaceful place, it's sustainable. Think about, you know, those hollow Easter bunnies?
Yep.
You know, if you put pressure on it, it crumbles, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a solid Easter bunny and you put pressure on it, it doesn't crumble. Right. If you create from hustle and pressure, it's going to eventually crumble because the foundation isn't there. Right. But if you create from that place and space within yourself that understands, and I don't think I've said this, so I will say this, we're all mind, body, soul. All three things make us up. And we're all energetically, all of that is a part of us. So all of that has to kind of sort of be in alignment. And that's why you have to learn how to calm yourself and come from clarity. When you make decisions, okay, I thought about that. This is weird. I haven't thought about this in years. So the book Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, the answer's in the title. Think. Right? Yep. So, yeah. So and in there he says, you know, like people, it's like make your decisions from an informed space. And you can't make a decision from an informed space if you're busy hustling and if you're busy pushing. Or
if you're spinning in an analysis paralysis, which is what a lot of people get into, is in their head, rather than listening to themselves. And if this is your frame of reference, spirit, God.
And don't get me wrong, you'll do Buddha. It at times. I still do it. And then I catch myself. And I'll stop and I'll get the best words I ever say to myself are, wait a minute.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Okay. I want to come back to a few things. So you mentioned that your purpose is that you want people to love themselves. Why? So that's what you want. Why do you care about that? A lot of people think that they'll say, I want to, you know, my why is that I want people to get that they matter and live like they do. So that's what I want.
If they don't do that, it's going to cost them something in the long run.
Okay.
And I care about humanity. I'm part of humanity.
Why do you care about them getting that?
So that they can be successful. so that they can have a happy life.
Why do you care if they're successful and happy?
Because, like I said, it's because they're part of humanity.
Okay. And see what I'm getting at here, most of the time our why actually comes back to us. And so why do I want people to get that they matter and live like they do? Because I always longed to matter. I always wanted to get on the damn list. I wanted my mom to put me ahead of her addictions and men and all the rest of it and choose me and my well-being over those other things.
But I don't think everybody's why is going to be to matter.
No, it's not to matter, but it is something related to them. So I think, I would bet that at some point in your childhood or when you were young, you wanted to be seen and heard like you want to see and hear people. You wanted, needed someone to love you or you love yourself. There was something in there that prompted that desire. I think all of us, my definition of our why is something that we're healing from the past and long for the future for ourselves and others. And I think it gets created when we're young. Now, it might be what we bring in with us. It might be our contract with spirit. It might be whatever your frame of reference is fine. But when we look at that and what we longed for when we were little that we didn't have, is almost always, like I have yet to come across someone, I say almost always, I have yet to come across someone that's not the case, that what we want to create in the world, the window we see the world through is unique to us. I call it our note in the choir. And that's because that's the thing that we grew up longing for, wanting, seeing deficit in, whether it's in ourselves or our parents or our family or whatever. We saw that thing that we wanted to change, affect, have, be.
Yeah, we're always chasing what we didn't have.
Yeah. And so I think that our why is almost always, I think human beings are self-serving. And when we embrace that and go, yeah, this is why I do what I do is because it gives me something, then I trust it a lot more than when people are just totally altruistic and say, oh, I just do this because, I think I just love people. It's like, yep. And it does something for you. So what does it do for you kind of thing? Right. It really helps us embrace the grounding, the end of the thread of our why. And almost always it's because we longed for that thing that we wish for other people. Right. And we have good hearts. Human beings, I think by and large, the vast majority of human beings have good hearts. So we want people to have what we want them to have, like to have peace or to have, so your note, and then I believe we express it in different ways throughout our life. I think our why stays the same.
Oh, I think so since I do this other weird thing where I go into Akashic Records and I look at soul stories. Yeah. And there's energy centers within your soul of how your soul likes to create in this world, in the 3D world. Yeah. And yeah, so I forgot why I was going down that path, but
why my old your brain. You're wise, or
but I believe that we all, no matter what, have our purpose. That's what it was. Yeah. So that our purpose, we always have our purpose, but it evolves and changes throughout our lifetime. Like if you see someone that does a business and then they change it, they still have the same purpose. Mm-hmm. They're just expressing it in a different way. Exactly. And you have to express so that you can grow, right? Yes. But I believe all of humanity has one main underlying purpose, and that's to remember our connection to our Creator. Yeah. Yeah. And I think we block our connection to our Creator in one of three ways: health, wealth, relationships.
Yeah. Or all three, because some of us
or any combination of the above.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I would say, for me, I believe it's not just our Creator, but our Creator and our understanding that we are all 100% connected, that we're all one. Then when we forget that we are part of that whole, then we get into that us versus them, and we get into the illusion of separation and all of that, and that takes us down weird rabbit holes too. So let's talk for just a second about value, because one of the things I mentioned is you clearly understand your value, you claim it, you own it. And so there's a different energy behind someone who understands, and let me differentiate, not your intrinsic value, although you do get that as well, but the value that you provide to other people. We often conflate those two and think they're the same, and they're not. So when I'm asking you, because a lot of what people struggle with, like we said, a lot of people kind of go, oh, I don't know if I have anything to offer. They don't get the value that they have and that they can offer. How do you think people can better understand what the value is they have to offer?
This is really interesting. It was some event that I went to one time, and they said, what did you like to play with as a child? What was it that you enjoyed? What was it that you enjoyed doing? And that'll kind of give you a clue into what it is that you will enjoy doing as an adult, right? But how do you get someone? That's a really good question. How do you get someone to see their own value?
Well, or the value they provide.
Answer to that.
Yeah. The difference between their own value is really having a deeper spiritual understanding of who we are, I think. But to understand the value they provide. So, because when we're selling something, we're selling ourselves in essence, and that's part of where people get wiggy, is because they don't understand what value they provide. So in your business right now, why would I pick you as a coach versus someone else? That's you answering the question of what is the value I provide. So why would I pick you versus someone else?
So over the years of working with so many people, and I've done a lot of different things, but one thing I'm really good at is helping people create in the three-dimensional world. And that's not just about strategy. I was going to say strategies and processes, and they want it to come out in one word. But it's about understanding how you're doing it and the reason you're doing it and the way you're doing it and what you're doing out of habit and out of your shoulds, to say don't should on yourself, because we all do it. It's just a part of being human. So the value that I provide is I see in you what you don't see in yourself. And I hold the space for you to discover that and to bring that out and to understand why it is valuable in this world.
Yeah.
Yes. Everything I've ever done, hand analysis, human design, horoscope, you name it. It always comes, bottom line is I'm a spiritual teacher. But a spiritual teacher can show up in all kinds of different ways. And the way I chose to bring it in this world, because I'm also really good at creating in the physical world. So it's a blending the two. And so I eventually came to understand that that's really what my true value is helping another person understand theirs.
So part of what I hear in that is a couple of things. One, understanding what your purpose is and how that impacts or affects other people or benefits them. The other thing is, I heard you say you look at what you're good at. What have you historically been good at doing or creating or being? And then how do I use that to help other people? How can I teach that? How can I pass it on? How can I package it in some way?
It's really about clarity. It's interesting because I had a woman one time that she came for a VIP day for her business. And once we mapped it all out, it was like, she didn't really want to be doing that.
Yeah.
But here's the really hard thing too. It's like if you tell an entrepreneur, I laugh because I love this when I say this line. You tell an entrepreneur something is wrong in their business to change. It's like telling them your baby's ugly.
Yeah, exactly.
But because it's ours, we become so emotionally attached to things that we don't need to hold on to and be emotionally attached. So you talk a lot about emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the biggest things that, mindset is really important.
Yeah.
But also that emotional intelligence and being able to step outside and observe yourself.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not easy. It's not easy.
It's not. And I think one of the things you just mentioned about kind of learning, what's probably one of the best skills to develop as we age is how to develop a growth mindset if you don't have one versus a fixed mindset. Growth mindsets are curious and they want to learn new things and they want to discover themselves. Those are the mindsets that have us go on this inner quest. Whereas a fixed mindset is, I am who I am and nothing's going to change. And it is what it is, and nothing's, But
would changeable. They ever become an entrepreneur, I wonder?
They would not become a successful one. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, they might.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
Because, entrepreneurs think differently.
Yeah.
And I love working with entrepreneurs because they have a different kind of mindset to begin with. It's like, for somebody to say, oh, I want to start this business, it's like, why aren't they saying, oh, I want to go back to school and be a brain surgeon?
Yeah.
It's not, it's a whole different personality. But then I'll go back to the mind, body, soul. It's something within that whole three things, energy that makes up you, that made you want to be an entrepreneur, that makes you want to put up with the things, because when you're an entrepreneur, you have to be a ninja. So.
True. You have to do a lot of things, wear a lot of hats. But I'm curious, do you think that someone can become entrepreneurial? Because I came out of the womb with a briefcase, I swear, and my mother did not appreciate that. I think I was born entrepreneurial.
I had a phone on my ear when I came out, my mom said.
There you go. Now, so there are some who are born entrepreneurial. We might claim that. I don't know if it's true, but because here's the reason I'm asking this. Right now, just under 1 billion people around the world can't afford to retire, or shortly won't be able to afford to retire. They can't get jobs. So really the only option is to become an entrepreneur. And for many of them who came up through the old path of, go to school, get a job, climb the corporate ladder, get married, have 2.5 kids, retire, and then, quietly die 10 years later, which none of that is the case anymore. They may have come up through that track, but now they can't do that. That doesn't serve them. They have to make money. And the other 35%, by the way, doesn't want to go quietly into that good night. They want to continue contributing, staying vital, healthy, active, just like me. And so a lot of them are going to have to become entrepreneurs. Do you think they can learn how to be entrepreneurial?
Yes, with one caveat.
Mm-hmm.
You have got to be open-minded.
Yeah.
Now, when I ran a print and mail business, and I had employees that were hourly employees, and I had employees that were on a salary. And one of the hardest things in the world was to change. If you put an hourly employee on a salary, they were fine and dandy as long as they were getting their holidays and their extra perks and their extra benefits. But if they had to work extra hours for some reason, they were keeping track of it.
Yeah.
Because their mind was already geared towards doing that.
Yeah.
So what it took was getting them to understand you've got to change your mindset. You are no longer, so for the ones who have to become entrepreneurs, you are no longer an employee.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, you have to say, okay, I'm going to take full responsibility. That's the difference.
Right.
If you want the money in your pocket, you're the one responsible for it.
Yeah.
When you're an employee, then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and this is the amount of money that I'm going to make for it. But as an entrepreneur, you don't know.
Yeah.
The hardest thing for me was actually just being okay with the peaks and valleys.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. Because it is like being on a roller coaster. You have high times, you have low times, you have high times, you have low times. And you have to learn how to be okay with that. And that's part of what I do with my whole, profit without pressure thing, is understanding that when you're in that valley, you're supposed to be, right? You don't have to hustle to get back up, right? And it's part of the flow. If you're, going down a river, you're going to hit rapids sometimes, and other times you're just going to float.
Yeah.
So you have to learn how to be okay within yourself. Yeah. And if you don't have that internal understanding and that internal guidance within you, then you're going to automatically want to go back to hustle mode. I'm not doing enough. Yep. I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to create this. I got to create that. You know, it's like, I got to pack my schedule. You know, I had another teacher one time. She said, a packed calendar is a sign of low self-esteem. And I went, let me think about that one for a minute. And it's true. It's like, if your calendar is packed, then it makes you feel valuable. Yes. I'm of value. I have to do all this stuff.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it's a matter of, but you've got to learn how to discern what you're doing that's not serving you.
Yeah.
And what you aren't doing that would serve you.
Yes. Well, there's so many things that you just said that I really want to follow up on, but we're getting to the end here. One of the things that I grew up with, and many boomers and Gen Xers and so forth did, is you got to work hard. The belief that hard work is where your value comes from. And I specifically, my take on that was I learned that my value comes from being able to do the hard things. I was smiling when you said, what do you play when you were a kid? My Barbies were always surviving. They were putting on all of their clothes and going down mountainsides on the fuselage of the plane that just crashed. My Barbies were survivors. And so that became, because I grew up in a childhood of survival, basically, that became the zeitgeist that I lived in, that life is about survival. Right. And that my value came from, oh, it's amazing that you survived all that. Oh, aren't you valuable because you're a survivor and you did the hard thing? So of course I equate it hard to me being valuable. It's taken a long time to unhook those two, and it still gets me. I make shit hard for no reason, because then it's more valuable. I'm more valuable. So we really need to look at
I love that. Pay attention to that line, y'all. I make shit harder.
Yeah,
we all do it.
Yeah. And one of the things that you just said was responsibility. And I want to split that word apart, because I just got this great insight. The difference between hustle and responsibility is that hustle is fear that I don't know what to do and how to do it, and I'm going to just do everything. And being able to respond means that I'm choosing responses, which is very, very different energy. And so, because a lot of people hear responsibility as blame, and it's as they don't understand accountability and responsibility, it feels like a heavy weight. But really, what it's saying is you have a core competence. And
it puts you in control.
Yeah, and it
gives you clarity.
Exactly. Right? You have a core competence that gives you the ability to respond. And so entrepreneurs, that whole growth mindset, what you call open-mindedness, I call growth mindset, the willingness to learn, to grow, to explore, to be curious, and to be responsive versus pushing.
And I can tell you something else.
Yep.
It's okay to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I want you to give us just very quickly, and then we're going to talk about your gift and wrap up here. But one of the things that you mention is pressure undermines leadership, and there's some shifts that restore focus and momentum. So give us 2 or 3 practical ways that people can restore their focus, their equilibrium, and therefore their momentum.
Well, one of the things is the gift that I have, and that's like a 3-minute set down. I actually typed this out so I wouldn't forget what to say. I'll be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you find yourself, just pause and then do one less thing. Before making your next decision, take a brief pause and slow your thinking. From that steadier place, identify one task that you're doing out of habit or you're doing it out of pressure. And then choose not to do it for a week. Scary.
Yeah, exactly.
But then notice what actually happens.
Yeah.
Often nothing breaks.
Yeah.
And then something important settles.
Yeah, I love that. That's a great tip. Well,
I don't have time to pause. Well, yes, you do.
Yeah. Yes.
You don't have time not to.
Exactly. And if we don't make time, then our body helps us out by getting us sick or something where we have to slow down and pause.
Exactly. The universe is going to, smack you upside the head with the 2x4 and say,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, at first it just whispers quietly, and then it might tap you on the shoulder. And if you keep ignoring it, then the 2x4 comes out. But okay. So it really, I love thinking of being response able versus pushing and hustling. And even in my own business right now, I can feel that shift happening. So thank you for this, Sharon. In terms of, I've been really pushing a lot lately. I've got all these things I want to do. I need a new website. I want to get sponsors for my cross-country speaking tour and blah, blah, blah. I wake up thinking about all the stuff to do. And it's coming from that hustle versus responding to the call, responding to my knowing, responding to the most important thing in that moment by pausing and saying, what's really important here? What's really the thing I need to be focusing on? So thank you for that. I don't know about you all listeners. I hope you got the same value I did, but this is going to shift what I'm doing going forward. So thank you, Sharon. On that note, tell us a little more about your gift.
So the gift is actually, it's a 3-minute grounding meditation, and I did it short, sweet, but everybody who listened to it says, just calm me down. Because anybody can take 3 minutes. Oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to meditate. Well, meditation doesn't necessarily mean, by the way, you can just take a walk. There's a lot of things you can do.
Yes.
But just take that, just listen to it. Yeah. It's just 3 minutes, and it will totally shift you out of that hustle mode. And you'll do a lot better afterwards.
Love it.
You can't create from that space. It's just, well, you can, but it's not going to last.
Right. And it comes across with that chaotic energy, and it doesn't land out there as much as we would like. It doesn't resonate with people, and so they don't buy as easily or as much. And we don't get to serve as many people because we're too blah in our efforts and our energy and our
everything's
voice.
Energy. So create that. If you can create that calm, peaceful energy where people can hear you. Yeah. They can't hear you in that.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. So many great golden nuggets here, Sharon. I love it. I have at least 4 quotes I'm going to go and post right away, and tons of content for me. So thank you very much. And also, how can people find you and get in touch with you? And just tell us very quickly, what do you do? Do you do one-to-one coaching? Do you have programs? What do you do?
Okay, so I do one-to-one coaching. I have a 3-step money path that I do, and one is just the first session it's money healing, but it's stuff that's inside of you. One of the first places and biggest places it'll show up, especially if you're in business, is in your money, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like a one-off session, and they do the Akashic records. I look at your soul and I help you with that understanding. And then I'll do like and I do this on an individual basis. Like, what do you need? Do you think you only need like a little support? And then I have the big enchilada, which is Soulful Success. So my website is SharonHess.com. Took me forever to come up with that name. No, just kidding. But then for the big program is Soulful Success, but that's on my SharonHess.com. And I did that from, I'm also an author. I wrote the first book I have, and I'll just do this real quick, is Spiritual Spice. And this is it's really interesting. This is very, very woo. Okay. So if you're not into woo, it's not your cup of tea, but you say a prayer and then you open it and it's got little snippets.
Oh, great.
And it's whatever your higher self wants you to understand about that question.
Awesome.
And then then I thought, okay, so I have all this wisdom, but I might turn some people off because of my big spiritual side, right? And by the way, I've facilitated the Course in Miracles since, 35 years now.
Wow.
But then because of wonderful Chat GPT, I had, it wrote it wrote the table of contents for this book.
Right.
It's Soulful Success.
Yeah.
Integrating spiritualism into your business journey.
Yep.
And what this did was it made me understand if I talk about mindfulness, which I do, and I have processes you can do, and energy, because most people do understand it's a vibrational universe. Quantum physics teaches us that's what string theory is. It's a vibrational universe. And so then this past year, as a matter of fact, I'm just releasing it, is Profit Without Pressure.
Oh, okay.
And this is entirely different because this is a lot. I do explain my journey and how I came to it's 7 principles for a new leadership paradigm, which is creating from a place of peace. And the 7 different it's not steps, because it's not something you do this and then you do that and then you do that. It's just different principles for you to live by and create your business from.
Awesome. So they can find you a lot of places on Amazon. Go get those books, and do you sell them on your site or just on Amazon?
No, just on Amazon.
Okay, so go get the
I don't have to fool with taxes and all that stuff. So see, I do understand business too.
Yeah, exactly. And go and get the meditation. I've already got it up so I can download it so that I can listen to it daily.
And I want to say one more thing.
Yep.
Anybody who wants to send me a question, I'm very accessible. I'm not one of these, I think I'm so great I can't talk to you coaches.
Yeah.
Just email me, Sharon at SharonHess.com.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you for that. That's a lovely, generous gift. So those of you who are listening, actually, let me not step over that. That is a lovely and generous gift, because your time is your most precious asset. Well, as we get older, one of the things as maturepreneurs we really need to understand and value is our time. And I think we understand it more and more as we get older, because we really appreciate our mortality more. And so to give your time and wisdom, freely like that is really generous. And it's one of those things that sets up reciprocity and flow and abundance. Be the source of that which you want more
And
of.
I'll say nobody has ever abused it. So I make the offer all the time and it's never been abused.
Yes, that's great.
Because I have the energy set properly.
Yeah, exactly. Around boundaries and your value and really being valued. So, so please do go to the vault, opt into the vault here, ladies and gentlemen, so that you can go and get Sharon's gift and download that. But also you'll see all of the gifts of all of our other guests, and you can opt into and get those as well. So it's like a little Christmas bonus. So you can go in and download as many helpful gifts as you would like. You'll see the episodes and see the ones that you might have missed that might be helpful for you. But the vault is your way to go and go shopping and find things that are going to really help you with your business and your inner game. It's about the inner and the outer game. So, Sharon, I would love to have you talk to you about another hour about all of the things you've learned about what to do and not do in business, what your biggest mistake was, what your biggest learning has been, et cetera, et cetera. But let's just end for now with what's the piece of advice you would give to two groups. The first one is those who are questioning what's next. How am I going to create my next chapter? What can I possibly do? Those people that are at that stage of reinventing, who am I now that I'm not who I've been my whole life? One piece of advice for them, and one piece of advice for those of us who've been in business a while, perhaps older, might be a little burnt out, might be a little tired. I call them the getting clear and the keeping going market. So one piece of advice.
So it's actually what I have to say would fit both, actually.
Okay. All right.
Because what I would say is understand that pressure is loud. Clarity is quiet. Learn to recognize the difference and create from the quiet. Okay.
I love that you gave me another writer downer at the end here. All right. Okay. Got to write it down before I forget it. There we go. So thank you for that. Say it one more time. I want it to really land with people.
Okay. Pressure is loud. Clarity is very quiet. Learn to recognize the difference and create from the quiet.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sharing in all of the ways that you do this, coaching, books, your website, all of the ways that you contribute into the world, and to your mission of really supporting people in learning how to love themselves underneath all of this. So thank you for that. Awesome.
My pleasure. And thank you so much for having me.
You are welcome. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please do subscribe. For those of you who are working on getting clear on what's next and want that quiet clarity and certainty, please go check out the Clarity Compass workshop at Maturepreneur.world. Thank you for being here. Please do grab that meditation, listen to it, put it into action, listen to it. And then from that space, let yourself become the person that only you can be. Bye for now, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. I'd love it if you left a comment and subscribed. And I encourage you to apply one aha from this interview right away so you can turn your wisdom into wealth and your contribution into positive change. Bye for now.